sorry for being coming late, and maybe you have covered the ground, I think, already about the experiences within the social forum and so on. But maybe I just say a few words on our experience there, and then maybe my colleague Diana will just say a little bit about this forum and beyond. I think that's the place we're at now in the agenda. But also to say, of course, this is not the first time we've been in a room or a seminar or a workshop together. And the very first social forum in Porto Alegre was where I met Ruby and Mika, which is a long time ago. But I think, you know, the debate, which also our colleague here from Nepal put up, I mean, the dilemmas and the challenges between the local struggles and the international struggles and how to globalize that has been on the agenda for a long time. The question that the WSF has shied away from kind of centralizing, in a sense, of responsibility for campaigns and so on, that's also been on the agenda a long time. And I think actually as far back as the first or second World Social Forum, a number of us who were there and participating also thought it's a space that is open actually for taking protagonism, especially collective protagonism in relation to struggles and so on. And while it continues to be, what our colleague here said, a place for, you know, great ideas, new thinking and so on, it also is, and we have seen it like that. I think especially Mumbai, the Mumbai Forum was very different in that regard. You know, it really put protagonism there and in a sense opened the space for looking to the World Social Forum also as a place for an arena for mobilization, and an arena especially for showing our collective strength at an international and global level. So I mean, we've had a number of sort of initiatives like that, including the one which we have done before with Semenpu on regionalisms from the different regions around the world, and what a people-centered regionalism should and could be about, which has still some of its ongoing reflection in the campaign we are now doing on corporate power. And as a matter of fact, the part of our slogan, which is to rebuild, reclaim people's sovereignty and people's protagonism, and dismantle corporate power. The Dismantle Corporate Power part was actually born at one of the World Social Forums, you know, and was taken and has been built. And we feel that the World Social Forum remains a very valid space for meeting, connectivity, communication, exchange of ideas, but also actually for putting in the building blocks for this other world we are trying to address. And we feel especially also that addressing corporations and their unprecedented power in the current world situation is very important. So maybe my colleague Diana will share a little bit how we see this particular forum, and maybe indicate also where we are going with the campaign. Thank you.
So as Brit said, I mean, I think especially in the last forum here and in the People's Summit, which is another type of gathering that has some similarity with the social forums, but has a different methodology, that it's like in Rio +20 there was a People's Summit, and in several meetings in Latin America we tend to organize what we came to call People's Summit. And in the learnings we had there is that spaces such as the forums and the People's Summit, it's a space for convergence of the different mobilizations that people are doing already. I mean, it's not that we're going to invent things here, but it's the meeting place, no, for all these resistances that are already going on. And one of the things we saw, and it was very strong in our agenda in the last forum here in Indonesia, was how much all of us were engaged in different agendas that were overlapping, and it were basically the same groups oftentimes going to the different struggles against free trade agreements, against bilateral investment treaties, the different resistances against corporate power and the violations that corporations are committing everywhere. And how could we bring this together in a common agenda for this forum was the main question. And that's how, for this forum specifically, we did something that we're calling the global convergence of resistances to corporate power. It is, at the same time, a calendar of events on the issue and on the different struggles against corporate power. It has a strategic workshop tomorrow, but it has a convergence assembly also on Friday. So the idea is how we use this space to, there are different groups that sometimes are more or less dialoguing in a stronger basis, and others not necessarily have the capacity of doing that so often. So for instance, we've been working with the boycott, disinvestment and sanctions campaign against Israel corporations for the crimes on Palestine. And it's not as often that we have the chance to meet them, and they are part of the agenda with a session on Israeli corporations, for instance. And we hope they will come to the Convergence Assembly. Just to give one example, no? But the workshop we're having tomorrow, for instance, there are testimonies of different groups resisting corporations in different places, like the Chevron campaign in Ecuador, the Brazilian movement of people affected by dams and their struggles against dams in all over Brazil. So there are several groups that have been engaged in the campaign in general. I'll leave some of these here. But as Breed said, this is part of a bigger process which we are we've been involved since especially its launch in Rio Plus 20 People Summit, which is a global campaign to dismantle corporate power and stop impunity. For us, the forum is one of the spaces to mobilize for it, but it's an ongoing agenda. This year we'll have opportunities to meet in different places, like in Paris in the end of the year, in the mobilizations for the climate summit, in Brussels in June for the European Union and Latin America summit, where movements from the different regions come together and, for instance, denounce how European corporations have been committing systematic crimes in Latin America. So there are several agendas there, and I think what we try to do with a space like the forum is to make sure it's a space for mutual recognition, for exchange of actions, and how we can converge and be stronger.
Thank you.